this book came out of me being a banker for 20 years before I got into doing mind-body coaching. My first career was as a banker, so that it's a memoir, it has poetry in it, and it's self-help, and it's about the evolution in me that had to happen in order to go from being a left-brained, closed-heart, linear banker into more of an intuitive, creative, entrepreneurial spirit that was giving and receiving with others in a healing way. It's my story as to how I got that, and part of the way I got there and a lot of what I share in it has to do with providing an understanding of how we get conditioned when we're little, when we're a child, how we develop perceptions and how our eye-hand coordination affects our ability to function creatively, to be able to say what's on our hearts and mind in difficult situations, things like that. And then I show how to use movements that open up neural pathways, that grow neural pathways in some way, so that one is able to have more access to their physical heart, as Osho speaks. You know, it's like, how do I get to my physical heart? I can't think myself there because the mind is incapable of achieving those heart kind of, and you know, those heart kind of desires. So how does the shift happen from my mind to my heart? For me, it happens in movement. It happens through cross-lateral movement, which I may demonstrate later. And it happens through, you know, watching my hand as I move my hand in maybe a figure eight and an infinity sign type of movement. It might be drawing that movement on pieces of paper. It may be breathing and sitting in particular fine motor skill, cross-lateral kind of movements. And doing that in the context of this focus where I want to be better at something. And I want to have access to my heart and my mind. And when we do that in a consciousness of safety and allowance and prayer and openness, and not trying from the mind to figure out what's going on, but we just turn it over and do the movements, and then notice how things change.
Can you, Joe, show to the viewers those movements, if you don't mind?
Okay. When we were little, we did developmental movements. We did developmental movements that were initially one-sided, so that if you turn a baby's head to one side, this side would go long and this side would go short, and I'd look almost like a puppet if I were standing up and doing it. Turn the head to the other side, it would look like this. And when the body was moving in that way, all of the reflexes to breathe, to activate eye-hand coordination, to, you know, it's like the eyes would look in one visual field and my hand would go there as a baby, and it's like, that's how I discovered my hand. So the reflexes were in charge at the time we were homolateral. And when we got to crawling and to walking, that's when we want to be cross-lateral. And one of the movements that help to activate the remembrance of cross-lateral is just to stand and do a little bit of cross-crawl if you're an adult. If you're a child under 5 years old, you might want to get back down on the floor and see if you can crawl. As an adult, we like to do it and turn in different directions, crossing over. We want to do it and be able to cross behind. And when I showed it to the 9-year-old this week, he was saying, how fast can I go? And then I said, that's really great, and so how slow can you go? And all of a sudden he's there trying to balance. Which is, you know, if I can't balance in my body, I can't balance in my mind and my heart. So they go together. If somebody says something that pushes my button and I react, then breathing and learning to do this one-sided movement where I can stop and feel like a tree in between and breathe, and then put cross-lateral as my natural movement. That's where we want to go, and that's part of the just a very simple approach to repatterning.